Hello and welcome to Owotunde TV. Right now we're talking about properties, how to acquire properties in the UK. If you want to invest in property in the UK, we're going to be talking about that now. So I've got Mr. Lee here, who is a property developer, to give us some hints on how to go about it. Yep. Hello, Mr. Lee.
Hello, Tunde. Nice to join you today.
Thank you very much. So as a young guy in the UK, if I want to invest in property and I want to make profit out of it, what kind of advice will you give our viewer?
I'll say the best piece of advice is location is key, is determining where exactly you want to invest and what sort of property you want to invest in. So for location, what you want to do is you want to search on sites such as Rightmove, such as Zoopla, and search around the areas as well. Look at the key things such as the road, what it sold for previously. This is the main thing you want to do before you purchase any property. Make sure you're getting it at the right price. Make sure you're getting it at a fair price where there's margins in there to make a profit as well.
Right. So what sort of capital do you think one should be looking at, to start the business?
Ideally, you want about 80% of mortgage, so you probably need 10% deposit on the property, but this isn't essential. You can find brokers who will probably find you a deal somewhere along the line, but there's always ways around it, to be honest. And as I say, yes, it's about getting the right property. That is the main thing.
Right. Is it a good idea to go to the bank or to go to a mortgage broker? Which one is better?
If you've got equity anyway, I would say that you try to remortgage to create as much cash as possible, because the banks will always favour you. The more money you've got to put in, they'll always give you a better interest rate. So I would say if you've got a mortgage currently or a property, if you've got the option to remortgage to release funds, that's definitely advisable. A lower interest rate you can get as possible is definitely the best thing to do.
All right. So, in terms of location, would you advise, to be looking into properties in London or Manchester or Kent? Which area do you think is more lucrative?
I think it all depends on the budget, but for example, if you was to look at the Kent area, it will be definitely a lot cheaper than, say, for London. I think there's so many developers nowadays in London, and the margins tend to not be as great there. Whereas if you go somewhere slightly more obscure like Kent, like major towns, you've got places like Ashford, Tunbridge Wells. On the outskirts of London, for example, Brentwood, Chelmsford in Essex, it's all about finding that property that needs doing up, needs renovating, and having a good margin in there. The first property I renovated, I did it in Ashford in Kent, and my only skills and knowledge was watching Homes Under the Hammer, the TV programme. I've never done it before, never knew anything about developing and how to renovate houses, and that first one earned me £47,000 profit, which was obviously fantastic. And since then I've been able to move on to other ones, and the key thing was finding that property that needed the work doing on it, making sure that there was a profit in there in terms of what I bought it for and what I sold it for. So if you can get around that, say, £100,000 mark, if you're going to do a full renovation, because you're looking at about £40,000 average to renovate a property, and then after that you have to pay your fees, stamp duty, solicitor fees, so then you look at that profit. If it's not as much of a renovation, then you could look at maybe purchasing it for, say, £200,000, but then you know that the sale price will be £250,000. So with that in mind, you can say, okay, £50,000 is what I've got to play with. How much is it going to cost me, my stamp duty, my fees, and then the renovation to do the work? If it's only going to cost you, say, £15,000, then that's fine, because you can get it done maybe in 4 or 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and then there's a good £15,000, £20,000 profit in there.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Lee, for coming to our show. So that's a bit of advice from Mr. Lee, a property developer. So watch out for our next video. Thank you very much. Bye.